future life, when I started, I read about, just the very beginning, and I said, okay, it makes sense, and I didn't start with faith, yeah. But I said, okay, I'll give it a chance. I tried, and the results. My future life is this afternoon. Tomorrow is my future life. I don't have to die and to be reborn. And
unfortunately, you have.
yeah, I mean, in order to think about future is and like for me, even when I think of karma, I think of this life. Because I see the results sometimes I walk in it, and surely many things, it is clear to me that it is the result of nothing that I remember from this life. But very often when I talk to my students, I tell them, okay, just try for 3 weeks not to lie, see what happens. Just as an exercise, just be curious to see what happens if you don't kill, if you don't lie, if you try to be... And I have very big faith now in karma because I saw it working. And so when I think of when you said future life, or it was like, wow, I never thought about so long, to the future. But it's actually the same. If you worry about your state of mind in the afternoon, sometimes for me it's easier to think about tomorrow, this afternoon, and not only about the next life. Because next life, sometimes it's easy to say, oh, okay, never mind.
But that was the question.
Yeah. So if you say it's not about next life, it's about tomorrow.
Your mind wants to keep you unstable. To really believe, you have to do it with your heart, not with your mind. As long as the mind controls you, you will always have doubts. Because the mind wants you to have doubts. It wants to control. It wants control over it. You have to defeat. In fact, defeating the mind completely is enlightenment. But there are some stages before.
Change it. Maybe not defeat. Maybe change it completely.
You have to try to gain some control back from the mind, and then your belief will be stronger.
Yes. At the moment, the mind is the master, and we are the slaves, and we have to change it.
It should be the servant of consciousness.
Exactly.
Now it's the opposite.
So when we talk about karma, so I think in Abhidharma it talks about, I think, 3 types of karma. Result karma. Okay, action, the karma. Okay. So something that the result you can see in this life, and then and there's some result that can see in next life, then next life. But what comes before, faster, is something. It is not like we are waiting for a wind to blow, then how stronger that wind blows, it comes to you. It's more to the attachment itself. That's why when we talk about time of our settlement during the time of the death, then we should be very careful, because at that time the mental state is very subtle, and plus at that time there is an attachment grows, and then that kind of attachment will attach to something of that one of the your past karma. So then the result will be there in the next life. So maybe it might be quite complicated for thinking all this sort of thing, but then sometimes it is really good experience if you go into hospital and when you see all this suffering. And then you go to some parts of Africa. Lots of suffering there. So sometimes when we think about then here's a big question, right? Why them? Normally we say, why me? Now this is time, then why them? Right? So then, but then we always leave this question, why them? And then you give some food and shelters and then some donations and then we go away and they're left out. And we are in a quite a good life. So then we forget. So we never try to think about it. So maybe if you try to think about why them, and then if you believe in God, then maybe even believing in God is a very difficult situation because one of the priests, Christian priest, then he asked His Holiness because he feels like His Holiness or Dalai Lama is very well known of all the religion, and then he, with that respect, he asked His Holiness why there is a hell, because Buddhists talk about hell, and then also Christian, maybe how about the Jew? They do? Okay. So then His Holiness has to be very careful because he couldn't talk about now karma and all these things of Buddhist talks, right? So then he tried to be very skillful and said to the priest, saying, first when God created the world, then he felt like I should also create a heaven. So then he thought, let me build one place called hell. So now he has already created this place, two places. So he cannot send everybody into heaven. So then maybe he has already created it. Then he said, okay, some people go down there. So this is God playing a little bit video game with us. But then the biggest teaching, whether you believe in God or not, in what condition you are in. This is why I have respect in other religions. They talk about we have some creator. We have one Father. So we are brothers and sisters. So we shouldn't harm each other. Father loves us equally. So this is a teaching actually, right? Something to believe in. So that's why when I went to Jerusalem, when I see Muslims believe it is their own holy place, and Christians saying this is our own holy place. So, and then I felt most religious people say one God and different manifestation, right?
Yeah.
They say that, and then God has never said there will be a Jesus coming and he's not really Muslim, you should be aware of. He never talks about this, right? Judaism, Buddhism, everything, every religion. But then it becomes a one base, because Jerusalem can be a one very big base for most of the religions. Christian and the Muslims, the world's most strongest populated religion. And this is the place actually where all brothers come to one temple, then worship together. But this is us actually. And then this is my religion. And they are saying they are good practitioners. They are not good practitioners. This is not only in between, we don't need to go far away. Inside, I'm a Gilupa. In Gilupa we have some kind of monasteries like, oh, this is our monastery and this is your monastery, and then make separations a little bit. Not on the views, but then they have one way of thinking. This is how the religion is. Sometimes we don't try to bless us, we are trying to bless the religion. We want to change the religion and to change the color of the religion. So now back to the renunciation, because I have to go back now. So the karma connection. So I remember what I'm saying now. It's don't think too far away to see and dig up in the next life what will happen. Dig up something from your own behavior. What will it lead into? Right? And then you study a little bit from the past. Right? So you like about paying the tax. So you don't want to do that. But in India, it's difficult because in Israel paying tax is good because you see some results, good results. Look at the highway, because it's compared to India, great, I think. But India, we know we have a big trouble there. And look at the road where His Holiness Dalai Lama lives. Now it's quite improved, it's not enough, but really corrupted. But then it is something. One time I went in a train, and then there's one baker with no arms, but very small, short limbs. And he asked for an arm, and then I give him 100 rupees. Then there is someone without